In the world of professional wrestling, outcomes are almost always planned and predetermined. But even in the best of days, things can still go wrong in the worst way imaginable. Such is the case with Enzo Amore at Payback 2016. In what seemed like a routine spot where Simon Gotch was supposed to throw his opponent out of the ring ended in disaster as Enzo slid headfirst into the ropes instead, causing a nasty whiplash as he hit his head hard on the mat. Everyone was in awe at how sickening that spot looked at first, but that awe quickly turned into legit concern as we saw Amore's body go limp and unresponsive. Unsurprisingly, the ref pulled up the X sign and the match ended in a no contest. Meanwhile, Enzo was stretchered off and taken to the nearest local medical facility. He would end up being diagnosed with a concussion and miss almost a month of TV time. While people were quick to point fingers on Gotch, his shoot interview in 2017 would shed more light into the incident. This next one though was definitely not the victim's fault. At Elimination Chamber 2010, The Undertaker was set to defend his World Heavyweight Championship in the titular match. As he began his usual walk into the ring, things escalated real quick when a mistimed pyroblast literally engulfed him in flames, causing Taker to quickly remove his jacket and hat and start power walking in one of his fastest entrances ever. Taker would suffer multiple second and third degree burns as a result, but being the badass that he was, he soldiered on the entire 36 minutes of the match and managed to stay in character while in excruciating pain. As for the pyro guy, well, he was gone from the building before the match even ended. And probably for the best because he'd have been the real dead man if The Undertaker ever saw him again. Real quick, we're trying to get to 1,000 subs by the end of March, so your subscription would really mean a lot. Thank you. A heart attack is probably one of the most horrific things you can watch someone go through, and Michael Cole had to live through that nightmare on the September 10th, 2012 episode of Raw when his commentary partner and longtime friend, Jerry the King Lawler, had one on live television. In the middle of a tag match between Team Hell No and Primetime players, an eerie snoring sound can suddenly be heard on commentary, followed by silence. The match finished with Michael Cole calling the action by himself, which already seemed odd. It was only after 2 commercials later where Cole, who was playing the heel commentator at the time, broke kayfabe to tell the news that Jerry had collapsed at ringside earlier and that the doctors were engaging CPR at the back. The updates would continue throughout the show, with Cole announcing that there will be no further commentary for the rest of the matches in respect to Lawler. The collapse would later be ruled by doctors as an unexplained cardiac arrest, to which the King would thankfully recover from and come back to a hero's welcome on November 12 of that year. While it's hard to pinpoint what caused his heart to give out in the first place, Jerry would later speak about it in an interview, believing it was due to Ziggler's stiff elbows to his chest during their tag match that same night. Regardless, it was Michael Cole's quick response that saved his friend from a potentially life-ending scenario. Speaking of potentially life-ending scenarios, Seth Rollins had the closest of calls in a 2014 episode of Raw. During a match between Roman Reigns and Randy Orton, the Authority would come out and deliver a beatdown on the big dog. Their plan was to trap Reigns inside of a steel cage, but he was able to fight back and throw Kane and Rollins outside. In a scene that'll make anyone's a-hole clench, Seth was supposed to slide back in the ring with the chair but ends up almost getting himself impaled by one of the cage spikes. Either by pure instinct or someone yanking him from below, Seth manages to avoid disaster by the skin of his teeth. God knows what we would have witnessed had he not moved out in time. Hardcore Holly had the unfortunate reputation of being one of the biggest bullies in the WWE locker room at the time. Now whether this is true or not, he probably bit off more than he can chew against Brock Lesnar in 2002. During the match, Lesnar was attempting a powerbomb when it looked like Holly was sandbagging him by making it harder for Brock to hoist him up. Brock wasn't having it though, and he did the move anyway, folding Holly's neck in a sickening way. Holly was able to finish the match, but the damage has been done. He suffered a broken freaking neck and was out of action for 13 months. Yeah, probably not a good idea to mess with a guy that looks like this. But if you thought that looked gruesome, the next one might just stop that. You've probably seen viral clips of athletes breaking their legs in disgusting fashion in other sports. And in the 2001 WCW pay-per-view, Psycho Sid would suffer the same fate. While working a triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship, Sid attempted what seemed like a poorly executed diving big boot in the middle rope. This caused his left leg to buckle under the impact and his ankle snapped in such a horrid way. The injury was so bad in fact that one of the doctors told him that he might never be able to run again. This incident also led to Sid filing a lawsuit against WCW, revealing that John Laurinaitis pressured him into doing the spot even with his hesitation. He lost the case though, and he was never the same after that injury. But if we're we're talking about horrific, unscripted moments in WWE history, there is nothing more tragic and avoidable than Owen Hart's death on May 23, 1999. For those who don't know, Hart was supposed to make a stunt entrance from the arena rafters for his superhero character known as the Blue Blazer. However, the harness supporting his weight completely snapped, causing him to fall 78 feet down to the ring. EMTs tried to revive Owen, but his injuries were too severe and he died on the same day. His cause of death, internal bleeding from blunt force trauma. Jim Ross had the unfortunate responsibility of telling everyone on live television of what had happened. And on the next episode of Raw, a 10-bell salute was held in memory of Owen Hart, with wrestlers paying their respects all throughout the show. Weeks later, Owen's wife Martha would file a wrongful death lawsuit which got settled out of court for $18 million. To this day, his death is still one of the darkest moments in wrestling history, one that changed the business forever. Almost 2 decades after Owen Hart's untimely passing, Pero Aguayo Jr., a prominent name in the Mexican wrestling scene, was competing in a tag match with TJP against Rey Mysterio and Extreme Tiger. In one of the planned spots, Rey did his signature head scissors he uses to set up for the 619, but Aguayo instead fell through the ropes outside. He got back to the ring looking dazed, and Rey did a dropkick to set up the 619 again, which inadvertently caused a whiplash like with Enzo's case earlier. Only this time, it caused significant damage to his brain. Mysterio was quick to notice that something was wrong, and he ended up missing the 619 on purpose and checking up on Aguayo. Help arrived soon after, however, it was all too late as Aguayo died instantly from the impact. His official cause of death was later ruled as a cervical stroke caused by 3 fractured vertebrae. Unlike Owen Hart's death, however, this was a freak accident and no one should ever be blamed, especially Rey Mysterio.